Welcome back to the Gear4music Drum channel. I'm Laurie Caldwell, and in this video I'm absolutely thrilled, delighted and buzzing to be with the drummer from IDLES. It's Jon Beavis, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to be talking a lot about the SPD-SX PRO and the various triggers you have around your kit and how you incorporate them into IDLES music. And how did you start incorporating electronics into your kit?
Yeah, I was a very late bloomer with all the electronical stuff. I used to always just think that the kit was here and that was enough, and you could figure out ways to play stuff. Like even with the earlier IDLES stuff, it wasn't necessarily using the sound of the drums. It was like using the rim shots as something else and trying to think outside of the box like that. And then the first one I had was a different brand, and I basically only used it as a click track, which is kind of what I did when I first got this because I had no idea how to use it. Right. Then I realised there's so many more ways that you can. I was still probably a little bit sceptical about, can I incorporate this into our live setup? I'm quite a visceral drummer, so I didn't want to be like stuck staring at a box rather than looking out in the crowd and like checking on all the other band members. But I quickly realised that it can offer you so much. It can help with sounds. It can elevate songs. So there's a couple tracks, mainly on the new album Tank, where it's just on the pad. But then, as I was just saying, I didn't want to be just stuck looking this way. So I got all these extra triggers. I got the BT1, I got the foot switch and the mesh pad, which just makes me feel more like a drummer, more like what I'm used to. So there's songs, so Pop Pop Pop, for example, is all on the pad, but I didn't want to be stuck there. So it's move it around the kit. I can still do stuff like this. I can do synth noises, which means we don't have to have a synth player. And Bowen, who plays guitar, he's always doing loads of extra stuff. So it's like, what can I take from him that means he can add an extra layer on the sound, which has been a lot of fun. Or there's other tracks where I'm just doing like strings as a background thing rather than having a backing track. We always didn't want to have tracks playing behind us. It was always, if you can play it live, play it live. If you can't, then figure out a way to do, or don't play that song live.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's interesting. So you're not only just playing drum sounds, but you're actually playing like part of the band as well. So you're taking over from your keyboard player to actually perform the song live.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting way to do it. And your main thing, what I picked up there, is you don't want to lose sight of the audience. So, and then you start off with a click track, and now it's sort of come from there. It's
definitely evolved. Yeah, I think the biggest thing was not losing sight of the audience, also losing sight of the band, because they can sometimes go off and the guitarist isn't always on stage. So I need to know if he's going to be back soon before I start the next section or the next song.
Yeah, so you can keep an eye on what's going on. That's part of our job, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure we see you. So you've sort of touched on my next question there. How does using the SPD-SX PRO sort of make you perform differently live?
Yeah, it's definitely made me think about what we can do moving forward. So as I was saying, like I'm not just playing drums now. I'm also playing. Well, I'm not playing the strings, but somebody else is, and it's like a nice other way. And it's also opened up my mind to future possibilities. So yeah, it's like next album or moving forwards, there's not these barriers that there previously was. Now we can do anything, and we can hopefully use it more. Like I've only got about 10% into this, into what it can do. So it'll definitely be fun to get into it a bit more.
Yeah, so that's really going to influence like your new music coming up, being able to play things like that's really interesting. Because I thought it was just going to be drum sounds and percussion sounds, but you actually tell me you're using synths and stuff. And as you actually develop with that, you're going to be able to do even more crazy stuff. Yeah, and all live. When you first started using the SPD-SX PRO, would you feel like it took you a long time to learn it? Was there a steep learning curve, or do you find it quite easy to use? Because you've come in today, we've just set it straight up, you've just loaded in USB and ready to go.
I think I'm still learning. Yeah. All the crew here have been very nice, and they didn't film the fact that we couldn't get the audio out of it, and I wasn't much help. As I say, I'm definitely still learning it. But I like the fact that I didn't just see it as a preset sample pad. Like from the first day I had it, it was like, right, let's load in the songs that we already had, or all the samples we had. Like I was saying to someone yesterday that on the song Gratitude, the drum sounds on the album is a phone recording that we did of an acoustic kit in our practice space that we sent via, you know, WhatsApp or whatever. And live, we wanted to keep that kind of raw element to it. So we just cut up that sample and it's put across over 3 pads. So it kind of still sounds a bit crushed and edgy, but it's me playing the drums, but also not playing the drums, if that makes sense. So yeah.
That's really interesting. So you recorded your own kit with the phone, and then you've sampled it, and then you've chopped it, and you're playing your own drums with a phone live.
Yes.
That's incredible.
So the sound that was out at Glastonbury, for example, was the phone recording sound.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a bit...
That's mad. I'm just trying to get my head around that. But that's cool. I mean, that's one of the great things about samplers is you can literally put any sound you want on it and play it with like lightning fast response.
I'm definitely excited to spend a bit more time with it and see what else I can do. Obviously, there's loads that I could do. But right now, I kind of use it as the element to just do a bit of hybrid drumming. So live, it's not just these 5 or 6 drums, it's everything else here. So.
Obviously, you're on your own learning curve with the SPD-SX PRO, but do you have any advice for people looking to incorporate electronics into their kit?
I mean, I would say start younger because it's easier to learn. But no, I don't know. I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it, seeing what I could do with it. I'm glad that it's got all the extra attachments, so it definitely made it feel easier to play. You know, because I've got all these around the kit. I can go back to my roots in terms of when I first started learning the drums. It was about how do I figure out all the stickings for this drum part. Didn't want to be stuck there. When we did the song Grace, it was too intricate and too quick to have it all spread across all these bars and triggers, so it had to be there. And that was a whole nother like level of brain farts, because it was doing all the stickings like paradiddles and stuff, but within that much space. So when you're live and there's not that much lights on the pad, that was a bit weird. But yeah, there's definitely loads more. Like it would be fun to maybe attach it to other things and see if you can manipulate all the sounds, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much things you could do with just the effects built into that thing as well.
Yeah.
God. Is there anything that the SPD-SX PRO has brought to your kit that you were unable to achieve with the acoustic drums just on their own, that you really rely on the SPD-SX PRO for?
The fact that I can layer different samples is a big game changer. You know, it's not me there going, how am I going to hit 3 things at once or 4 things at once? It's I can do potentially 5 sounds off 2 hits. Again, in Pop Pop Pop, which is the most SPD-SX heavy song that we do live, I've got all the different triggers doing different samples. I've got the snare trigger doing 3 separate snare samples in a sequence that I didn't know I could do until I had to like do a deep dive and learn how to do that on the pad. I've got the foot trigger doing 2 different synth noises at the same time. The fact that you can fix all the volumes in the pad itself, you can fix, you know, all the attack and everything. It's such a game changer rather than just going, I've got this one noise, here it is. It's like, no, this could be 7 different noises in 7 different ways, and it can be linked to do 4 others, you know. So that definitely the fact that you can sequence stuff via one pad was a big game changer.
Yeah, that's incredible. You're utilising pretty much every feature of the SPD-SX PRO there.
Well, that's good, but I think there's like, because I'm fairly new to it, I'm sure there's loads more. But I'm much more of I like to problem solve once I've got the problem, rather than like look for problems, because life's too hard.
So I get the layering part of things. You can layer all of your stems from the IDLES songs there, but then just go back to the sequencing part. That's really interesting to me. So you literally play a song, hit it once, and know in the back of your mind that the next time you hit it, it's going to trigger a different sample.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
Again,
in pop, in the track. So on the snare one, and it took me ages to figure out how to do it. I thought I was going to have to play the song and then hit the pads here. which would have also been fine. But when you're playing live and you've got all these lights and everything, I don't want to have to be looking over here everywhere, not miss that, because that's the kick sound. I don't want to miss that part. I don't want to have to be looking and get that exact pad every time. This is nice and big. It's easier. So you can layer that. So I've got all these doing stuff like that, all in the sequence. And then for Gratitude as well, which was the phone recording song. Where is that? There it is. As I say, they're all split up. So it's really, really similar, but it's basically a 2-bar drum loop that's cut up into 2 or 3 seconds, and it goes in a sequence. And I've just got to go back and back and back. But again, that one's kind of more like I've got to be fixed on this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have to be in the time with the click for that one, or is it still kind of work live?
Time with the click, yeah. That's definitely one where since I've gone to the in-ear stuff, that song in my mix, it's basically just me, the click, and the singer.
Wow.
Don't really need anything else, because I know that if I'm right, then everything else is fine. Yeah. That one's where, like, if certain things start to go wrong live, it's like I'm stuck in this loop. Yeah. This drum beat is a loop for the entire song. So like I'm doing it okay. You guys need to come on with me, kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. So you're still leading the band even though we're using these loops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh. On the back of that, how do you balance using electrics with the acoustics while keeping that raw energy of playing live?
I think we've been fairly smart with the songs where we do use the electrics, because it's either an added pad that can be boosted out front, or it's something at the start of a song, or it's like simple things like that where it's not really going to get in the way. But then with songs like Gratitude, for example, we wanted to keep the rawness of the album version, but then when we got to playing it live, this didn't hit as hard. Like all the samples just didn't hit as hard as a full drum kit.
Yeah.
And then obviously if you're going in between a lot of our older songs, which is all drum kit, it kind of dipped a bit in the live performance. So that one took us a while, but we ended up going, why don't I use that for the verse? Sounds kind of tight and decayed because of the sample it is. And then in the chorus, I play it on the full kit. So it gives that lift. It is the drum beat. It just sounds a lot bigger and brighter. So it's nice to kind of switch in between and try and have that element of hybrid drumming. Yeah.
Oh, so interesting. It's like, so do you have to adjust your monitors on stage as well as the in-ears to make sure, so obviously it's an acoustic kit, it's loud.
Yeah.
And when you hit a rubber pad with no speakers, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the band who take their cues from you, do you have to have like all of your electronics like nice and loud on stage, or are you all just...
Theirs is all on in-ears, so right. they all get, and they can pick and choose what they want. So I think in this song, Joe doesn't even have the snare. He's like, I don't need it, because that song's in, it's a 7 count. So he's like, as long as I've got the hi-hat doing the obvious 6/7, then I'm fine. And then he, like, everyone's got different stuff in their ears, which baffles me, because I'm like, surely you need the drums. Surely I always need the vocals, but there's songs where he's like, no, I'm fine. I just need the keys. And you're like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess as a drummer, we're at the back. We have to hear everything and know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's your job to keep
exactly.
everyone in their place.
Exactly.
That's right. So you did kind of touch on this before, but like IDLES shows are pretty unpredictable and chaotic at times. If things go wrong, if someone's speeding up or things are going off, what would you do to approach that with your electronics?
Turn them off and scream.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's happened a couple of times. We start the set and it's strictly pads. I started to add in the kick drum just so I had a bit more to it live. But I remember we were playing in, I think it was Stockholm, and the pad just died halfway through, which can happen. Like it was just bad power or something. You've just got to figure it out on the fly. That's just part of the fun of playing live. So it was like I was doing it. The fact that I've got it in my ears, I knew instantly that something had gone wrong. So I just went, right, that's off. I'm just going live and played it in a different way, but it was still fun. Like it's very useful. I don't tend to save songs with it. Like if people are going at a time, or if the click track, if I've knocked the click track off by accident, I'm not gonna put it back on.
Yeah.
Everyone just go back to old school and just play off me. but it is nice to have that as a backup sometimes.
So if that happens, then you can literally, right, we can continue the song without this stuff and it'll still be as...
Yeah, and everyone knows to just watch me and then it's fine.
But then also you've set up the samples in a way where if there was like a slight, you know, change in tempo, you can actually play along, which adds to live performance.
Yeah, and like, you know, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We do it for the love of it, and obviously we're very professional with it and we want every show to be perfect. But there's a track where I cue some of the backing vocals, and I had to figure out all the stickings for it. And this was another big point for the SPD-X, where like you can delay the sample, which just blew my mind. I always thought it had to be like, right, that's the noise. I have to hit it right now because I want it at this point. But because of the part I was doing a fill, and I knew I had to have the sample playing in like 4 seconds. So I had to learn how to do the fill, touch that, and then in 4 seconds, if everyone's in time, it comes in at the right point, which was a complete game changer. But then also live, if I missed a pad, then I've missed it, and I can't just do it then because it's going to be out of sync.
God, I've been selling this product for quite a while. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I think
I didn't know.
I'm gonna try and find it for you quickly. It is on. This is when I got to learn where the songs are. There you go.
Yeah.
What are we saying? So, pad. It's that pad. And how do I delay it? Oh, it's through there. Yeah, so you can sample delay it.
You can literally use the actual delay on it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Which, completely like, because as we were doing the song live, we thought we need that backing vocals that was there. None of us can quite sing that high because we just shout most of the time. How can we get this live? And then that was a complete, because other than that, Bowen, one of the guitarists, has what's it called? MPC?
Yeah.
He can do samples, but obviously he's playing guitar. So I was like, no, it's fine. Like, I can figure out a way of doing it. Just give me 5 minutes, and then a lot of like YouTube videos.
Yeah, lots of learning. That steep learning curve again.
Exactly.
That allows you to trigger that song, but not miss out on the big fill. So not going quick trigger, massive fill.
Exactly.
So you've done it, and then right here, I know it's going, and then when you're coming time, must be quite satisfying. He's like, wait time.
Yeah.
You seem quite at home in there for someone who's still learning it, but do you feel you spend more time using the pads on the SPD-SX Pro or the external triggers, or is it like both? Or you mentioned for the new songs you might be completely within that. You try to use these more.
I think a bit of both. Like I think there's still the part of me, there's still the kind of acoustic drummer in me that wants to play around the kit. So I'd like to learn, like if I got a song and I've only got 2 or 3 samples, I would prefer to find a way to put it onto the triggers. Yeah. Because then I'm still here. I kind of feel like I'm more open rather than having to, if it's 2 in a row, I don't want to have to close off my whole body and be here rather than I can just have it here or have it on like a foot switch. Like I've definitely, there's a couple tracks where we have like tambourine. Oh, that's a good one as well. So in the song Roy, we have a tambourine that is a syncopated pattern, and we were like, who's going to play this? Like it has to be someone who can keep time. So it kind of had to be me. Yeah. But I was like, I'm kind of busy doing the drum beat for it. So I had to learn how to do the syncopated pattern with my left foot and then play the part still here. So that was really cool to work out doing that. And I think again, the way that I did that was through having one sample there, one sample sequenced, like 2 seconds behind it. So I just had to learn to hit this at the right time in the song. And then the sample. And then that's playing it all. Yeah. Which is fun. And like that was something that I never thought. Again, that kind of opens up your mind of like, we can do loads of extra stuff here. I've just got to figure out how to do it, which is easy enough. Just give me a while, Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. I've utilised that that delay as well as, wow. Yeah. I had no idea I've never thought of doing it that way. So
that's the thing, like everything that I've done and found out, all this stuff is only because I've been put up with an issue, I don't think I would have gone, well, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's like, now how do we do this without having to get an extra person playing with us live, or like having to sacrifice the song? So yeah.
Or to put everything on backing track.
Which we never want to do. Yeah. Like I think the whole thing about when you watch a band, for me personally, it's like, I want to see these people on stage playing, you know, everything. That's part of the joy of it. Obviously you can trigger samples, which is really helpful, but they're still playing songs. Like, you know, we've got songs where there's some violins. Obviously if you look at our stage, no one's playing the violin there. Yeah. But we're all playing everything else to help craft the song.
Yeah, and you've hit it in the right place, and it's like, it's not just coming through the laptop, as it
exactly.
were. That's music to my ears, because we pride ourselves on not having a click. We have, you know, backing tracks. So the way you do it is like next level. And
well, we still have clicks just for like safety and guarantee and all that kind of stuff. I remember, years ago now. So I was about 19, watching a band, and the drummer had a laptop, and the laptop died. So then the gig was over. Like I was just like, right, is that it? Obviously it was horrible to watch because they were really embarrassed and everything. But you're like, so the whole gig was from this, and that's now died. I was like, okay. So I would never want to be like solely reliable on one thing, because it's, you know, it's not putting shade on all the electric stuff, because what if a kick drum breaks? You know, no one's got a spare skin really during a gig, so that's kind of over. But the fact that you got both, if that was to happen, I could get a kick drum sample and put it there, and then the gig is still going on in some sort of way. Yeah,
you could adapt to it. Yeah, I guess that's just part of being a drummer generally. All sorts of hazards happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at your level, there's even more potential for that, so you try to keep it as safe as possible. If something did go wrong, you can still make it live and carry on with the show, which is the most important thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
God, that's great that you're playing proper music. You're playing rock and roll. It's a live performance, but we're utilising the modern tech as well.
Trying to.
Of course, no shade to the guys. Trying to. Yeah. So I've written here. Do you think that the SPD-SX PRO has influenced your creative process, like when you're writing music? Now that you're in depth with these electronics and how to do it as you write new music, do you think it's influenced you?
Yeah, I definitely think so now. Like, as I was kind of touching earlier, like moving forward, there's less boundaries. I don't know, I think it's every musician is different. Some like boundaries, some don't. I used to always like the kind of challenge of being like, how can I make something different every album but using the same drums, you know? But then after a while, it was like, we're getting kind of stuck in the same sort of patterns here. This has completely opened up a door.
Yeah.
Also means that for the rest of the guys that can't write drums or that don't play drums, but they can play on synths and stuff, we're now not stuck to 2 guitars, bass, drums. It's like we can have everything else, and we can now do it live, rather than being like a studio band that sounds completely different to live. It's now like, how can we mix both types of band that we are, basically. Like I'm definitely getting more comfortable with it. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, the only other thing that I do, because in the heat at the moment, you know, during like a 2-hour show, there's not a lot of time to stop and move. I use the little bits down here just to tell me to turn things off.
Yeah, just some notes, yeah. So you can put your set list in there as well, some things.
Set list has helped loads, and, you know, like just little stuff that I can glance at rather than having loads of notes on a physical piece of paper that might get lost in the lights or whatever. When we first started playing the song, I didn't move this. I used to always hit it.
Yeah.
Kind of ruins the song a bit. So like here, just have little notes, which is like a really simple thing, but a lot of companies maybe overlook those sort of stuff. It's like, that's nice that you can have extra information on the track here. So yeah, I guess so.
It's all about options, really. And like for you, when you're in the heat at the moment, right? Oh, what's that thing? Was Move the Ride, bam, and it's right then. Just because it's the name of a patch, you can still use it.
Exactly. And like as I say, like when I only started using this maybe a year and a half ago, and it's so easy to use. Like it once you get over the first hurdle of like wanting to learn about it, it's very, very straightforward. It's very easy, and then definitely helped me get more comfortable with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could speak about that, sort of the ins and outs of how you've got it set up. I believe, so you've got 4 pads, we can have 4 outputs.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 outputs left and right for the actual pads itself. And then you've got your headphones. Do you plug your monitors directly into the SPD-SX PRO, or does that come from the monitor engineer?
I split them through and it goes everywhere else. Yeah. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. That's a cool question.
Lots of cables.
Loads of cables.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the setup you've got now, so you've got the KT10 foot trigger there, so you use that for tambourines and things like that.
Tambourines and also synths.
Yeah.
What else do I use that for? Anything else? That's like the extra one that has become, that opened up my brain to like loads more possibilities, because most of the time, your feet are stuck here and your hands are on top everywhere else. Obviously you can do all the visual stuff by adding in stuff like this, and the fact that you can sequence pads in. But then we got to a song and I was like, I don't have any hands free for this. I can't do it. Yeah. And I just looked down and was like, I've got a left foot. Obviously it's really hard to do sometimes because you're playing a pattern with this leg, and you're like, after a while of being in a rock band, you're very used to just 4/4. Yeah. Not using your left foot really. So that was a fun little half an hour in the studio, trying to like play the song and also add this in a syncopated pattern. But then it was fun, it's like, right, cool, we can do this. Now I can do a synth line on here. And the fact that I think you can hit the mesh of the snare pad and the edge, and you can have 2 different samples in there. So yeah, there's loads more. It's not just, this is a kick pad. Yeah. This can be so much more, which is great. So it's all about options, really. You've said you get a problem and then you see how to solve it. You don't go out to see the most complex way. Yeah, no. But really, you want the easiest and most like natural way to play it on the stage. Yeah. Just back to the KT10, if I may. I noticed in your setup you used the old school Roland KD7, which is the upside down beater. I absolutely love that. Yeah. Using this here, how do you feel that feels in your foot? Obviously, it's different to what you use normally, but it does the same thing. This feels different for me, because normally I've got the old school thing where I've got a beater hitting something, which is probably more. There's more chance of it going wrong. Yeah. Once there was a cable that got caught on it, and then I couldn't hit it for a couple of beats, and I had to come and like fix it all. But that's quite fun during a gig. Yeah. This feels as good. It's probably better, and probably what I should use. Because there's less chance of things going wrong. But yeah, it's perfect for what it was. Yeah, that's cool. So KT10 there, we got the PDX 100 pad there, and that basically feels like a drum, doesn't it? And so you've mentioned you use the middle of the drum as well as the edge as well. Yeah. So you'd use different snare samples for that as well. Yeah. And these 2 bar triggers, literally just big. Yeah, just extra stuff really. I mean, when we first looked into playing a lot of the songs live, I did just think about having just all the bar triggers, but then I was like, there's a lot of songs where there's mainly snare samples, and it's just that sense of like feeling like home or whatever. Like, I know this is a snare. I can see it in my eyes. It's pretty much a snare, and it just gives you that extra kind of security. Like I can hit that without having to look at it all the time. I know I'm gonna make all the samples go. These I've even got like live. I've just got neon strips down there, just so I don't have to look at it. It's kind of in my view a little bit. But yeah. Well, that's really cool. We've covered pretty much everything with the SPD-SX PRO there. I'd say. I'm just going to ask you some questions about your time as a drummer, if I may. I've got some fun ones. You can't really narrow this down to one person, but who are some of your favourite drummers? I mean it would change every day. Yeah. I don't know. Right now, maybe Keith Moon. He's in my mind. He was someone that I first got into when I was younger, just because of like, you could see how much joy he had as he was playing the drums, and he used to just smack the living shit out of him. So that's always fun, I think I always tend to look for drummers that have the element of joy. I feel like obviously most of them do. But you could see it in Keith. Yeah. You can see it in someone like James Gadsden, who's played for Bill Withers. Like they were just having fun, man, and that's why I do it. Yeah. there's obviously other technical drummers that are great, but yeah, for me, it's just have a bit of a laugh behind the kit.
That's so good to hear. So you're all about the rock and roll, you're about the performance, you're about the drums that feel it and give a performance. So
yeah,
Keith
like,
Moon is obviously a good one.
Yeah, there's a mate of mine who took the piss out of me and kind of like noticed that whenever I play, my arms go really, really high. And he was like, do you do that on purpose? I was like, well, that's just how I play. I don't know. And like now every time he comes to a show, I try and go as high as I can, sort of thing. Which I guess helps to the level of volume that I play with. But yeah. But again, it's like, it's when you're playing live for people, like you're putting on a show.
Yeah.
Like this could be their one gig of the month, one gig of the year. So it's like, you want it to be the most fun for them. And the best way of like showcasing that is making it fun for you.
Yeah. How do you find doing that night after night? Like sometimes you might feel a bit off. Like
it's still great.
Yeah, still good every single time.
It's still good. I mean, if you're having a bad day, it helps that we now tour with a big group. Or even when it was just us in a van, there's 4 other guys who, if I'm having a bad day, they'll pick me through it.
Yeah.
It's very rare to have a bad day, do the show and still feel bad.
Yeah.
Like after 2 or 3 songs, the crowd's going to get you through it, or I'm going to just get loose, you know. Like it's the best kind of therapy for me. It's just
awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously IDLES, but if you could play in any other band, who would it be?
Oh yeah, I thought about this earlier. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. The first band that popped in my head was the OCs, just because every time I've watched them live, it's just been like, I don't know. Their gigs, I can't split up their gigs into like songs that I've watched. It's just, I remember being there for an hour and a half and just getting lost. Like everything is just like a wave. Like you as part of the audience just becomes this wave. Maybe King Gizzard, but I wouldn't want to learn all their songs.
Yeah.
They've got far too many.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch. Like, I mean, back when I first started playing, I definitely wasn't a rock drummer. I used to play loads of like jazz and like soul. So that might be nice as well.
Yeah.
You know, learning to play a little bit quieter and just a bit more. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it to the last one of my missed questions here. But what's been your best gigging or touring experience so far?
I mean, there's been loads. Like, there's been like really, really special memories even from the start. You know, when you play your first gig, that's always a big moment. So I used to always go to, there was a venue called The Croft in Bristol. I used to always go to watch gigs. I remember the first time that I played there, it was like, oh my God, I'm on this tiny little stage that I'd always watch bands on. It's hard not to think of the huge shows that we've done, or like Glastonbury.
Yeah.
I mean, that one is always going to be with me. But all 3 of the times we've played Glastonbury, and not just to discount any other festivals, but like because I'd gone so much when I was a kid.
Yeah. That
was a massive moment. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because all gigs are great in different ways. So yeah, it's a joy to do what I do, and hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah. Well, this has been a real privilege for me, because it seems like that you treat every gig just as important as the other, where you play the massive stage, or even you've spoken about when you first started 17 and, you know, the first gig to where you are now. So that's quite inspiring for me to know that, yeah, our job is to entertain the people and to rock out and to do it as best as we can and enjoy it. So Jon, we won't keep you any longer. You've got some incredible songs to be playing, and I can't wait to sit at the back and watch them all. I've learned loads. It's been an honour. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. I'm Laurie at Gear4music Drums channel, and thank you for watching.